Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Heartfelt Hustle. Today, we are diving into something that touches so many of us, especially if you are a multi passionate, intuitive, creative soul trying to build a business that feels like you. How do you create structure in your business without losing your flow? How do you stay organized without falling into the trap of rigidity or even hustle? Now, if the idea of planning or building systems has ever made your chest tighten a little, or if you have downloaded all the productivity templates out there, tried out all the productivity apps only to never use them again, let me tell you something that might bring you to peace. It's not that you are lazy, it's not that you are inconsistent. It's that most of these systems are designed for efficiency first, not nervous system first. Your body knows what's safe, and when a system feels like pressure instead of support, your whole system resists it. Not because you are not committed, but because it doesn't feel good. That is why we are going to reimagine structure today. Not as something that is going to box you in, but as something that will hold your creativity and help you gently and sustainably build your system. So let's dive in. Welcome to Heartfelt Hustle, the podcast that dives deep into the heart and hustle of entrepreneurship, where our dreams meet reality and where our passions fuel our success. I'm your host, Sush, a launch strategist and operations director, founder of an outsourcing agency. Most of my clients call me their right-hand woman, and most importantly, a curious soul as well as a nerd. I am here to share my experiences. I am here to share my insights. I am here to share practical tips that will help you build a thriving and a sustainable business. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or someone looking to infuse more heart into your hustle, I am here, and this podcast is for you. Each week, we'll dive into topics ranging from reconnecting to your passions, your soul, your why, and overcoming the roadblocks of your growth journey. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dig into this heartfelt hustle together. You know what? For a really long time in my life, I believed the story many of us are told, that you are either a productivity ninja with color-coded planners, or you are a free spirit following flows and figuring it out as you go. And I used to literally wear it as a badge of honor that I am, and I felt like the most organized person in the world. In fact, I've had friends and clients even call me that. So it felt good and I felt proud of myself for that. But time slipped, life happened, and here is what I have learned through experience, both personally and with clients, that just the two as separate utilities or separate units is not the reality. In fact, you can be structured and yet be spacious. You can be strategic and yet be intuitive. You can run an organized business without losing yourself in it. And you are seeing me as a current version of me living this reality, by the way. And I want you to, share, or I want to actually tell you something that is close to my heart here, which is that, I was born and raised in India, and growing up, I was surrounded by this deep cultural reverence of discipline, effort, and control. In fact, even in one of the Bollywood movies, there's this dialogue around which says Parampara, Pratishtha, and Anushasan, which literally means tradition, prestige, and discipline. And yeah, people are just crazy about it. And yeah, like success here often meant following the rules, showing up consistently, doing things right. And while those values did help me in many, many ways, they also wired me to associate structure with pressure. And over the years, I had to unlearn that. Like, literally, I did hit burnout more than once in my life, thanks to holding on to these values. And I had to learn that structure does not have to feel like I'm suffocating all the time. That I can actually be soft, spacious, and safe and be creative. So if that resonates, if you've ever longed for structure that meets you where you are, I am here to tell you that it's not only possible, it's fucking powerful enough to help you build your own life on your own terms. And, yeah, because what the truth about structure is something we all have our own versions of it, but here's the reframe actually that changed everything for me, which is structure doesn't equal rigidity. Structure rather equals support. Structure is what allows our nervous system to feel safe enough to let go. When our business has no system, our brain holds on into everything, like whether it's a task, whether it's our deadlines, whether it's even our ideas, our worries, our follow-ups coming our way, so many things. And then this is just, we talking about business. There's also life. There are things happening in our life. There's tasks related to our personal lives, our, like what's maybe happening in and around us, based on other bits, and there are other bits of deadlines, there are other bits of ideas we want to implement on, there are other worries we have, whether it's related to us, our kids, our pets, our family members. There are so many follow-ups. Oh my god, the list can literally be never ending. And yeah, it creates so much of mental load. Our nervous system literally gets overwhelmed, it gets hyper alert, or it just gets so much that it just shuts down. And then we spin, or we freeze, or we just altogether get in the mode of avoiding everything. And why do we do this? We do not do this because we are unmotivated, but because we have maxed out. And yeah, that's not a great place to be in. And I definitely want you to understand it is something that can be worked on, and it is something that can be changed. Because when structure is built gently, when it fits your rhythm and energy, it becomes a container that calms the chaos for you. It gives you space to breathe. It gives you space to create. So no, structure isn't the enemy of freedom. It is rather a container that lets you create in a, safe place. And if you have to make any shifts, it's not wrong to work on it. Because to be very honest, if I have to share 3 core shifts right now in this episode with you to help you build an aligned structure, yeah, why not? Let's do that. I am going to share with you 3 core shifts to help you build an aligned structure moving forward from now. So how do you bring that reframe to life with 3 simple but powerful shifts? One is what I want you to think in rhythms, not in rigid schedules. Because after all,
we like cycles, and we do not operate like machines. So we are not in a factory line consistency, or we are not robots. I mean, yes, we are implementing AI in our life and business, but we are human beings, right? So instead of maybe strict hour by hour plans, how about we rather do add in some flexibility, or we lean into the rhythm? Or how about we actually do have a certain specific type of days which we do implement in our business and life? Like, I have actually started implementing this in my own life and business as well. And I have seen, and to be very honest, I won't lie, I do color code my own planner. I do have my own system, but it's these reframes that I'm sharing with you guys right now, which has helped me fall in love with the systems I have right now in my life and in my business. So definitely, I want you to understand that once you start falling in love with what you're building, and you build in the flexibility based on who you are, what you like, and how do you want to lead your life, it's an entirely and a totally different game versus life being like a rigid schedule box where every single hour of yours, or even every single minute of yours, for fuck's sake, has been blocked out, and you're just trying to keep up with, okay, this has this has that, blah, 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 So no. So theme days are good. Like, literally, I know creators who have days like potato days where they can just be themselves, chill out while doing behind the scenes work. So they're still doing what keeps the business moving. They're still enjoying, the way they want to dress, the way they want to feel. Because being a business owner or being a creator, sometimes there's this pressure of always showing up, but they're finding their own way. They're finding it's like more of a, weekly cheat day for them, where they're not actually putting the pressure on themselves to show up, but rather do things which are still necessary and vital and keep things moving without them looking a certain way they want or they have set up their standards for, if that makes sense. So yeah. So I, like, for example, have call days, but I actually do not have them specific day per week, but I rather rotate them every single week. So if a certain week, Tuesday is my call day, next week maybe Thursday or Wednesday is my call day, so I kind of rotate them so that I can make sure I have like most of my clients coming on my calls in my membership. Then based on that, I can switch it with my other clients as well, whether it's the done for you clients, whether it's the clients I work one-on-one with. So yeah, it's that flexibility which I really love. Then based on that, my rest of the schedule is flexible. So there are days when I would be working, core focus would be client projects. So it's just done for you work that I would be focusing on with my team. What's happening? How are things moving? Someone's launch is coming. So what's the progress and all of those kind of things, So you kind of get my point. So, there are theme days. There are weekly planning rituals to help me reset your focus. I mean, I do this. I love this. If you do not love it yet, I would say don't have an entire ritual around it, but at least every single week, start by having or setting yourself setting yourself like a 10 or 15 minutes time block where you just trying to organize your I was trying to find a word here, but I don't know why I went blank for a second. So you're trying to fill in either your digital planner, your physical planner, your task manager, whatever it is, based on what's like what the project you're working on. You can literally, by the way, go to ChatGPT, let it know what are your focus for, like what's your focus for the month, what are the projects you're working on, and it can literally help you also plan and prep your weeks, and it can help you with that as well. So if you've ever felt that ChatGPT is only something which can help people only with creating content and all of those things, it can be someone who can help you even organize your thoughts. So try that out if you need to, And when we're talking about rhythms, how about buffer blocks that honor your nervous system and give you a certain bit of margin? Because when you are trying to figure yourself out, you don't want that pressure and you don't want to give yourself a minute-to-minute breakdown, but rather having those buffer blocks now as well as in future, if and when anything happens, they're going to give you that breathing space to help you get ready for the next bit that you want to work on. And space for rest without guilt is also something you want to start implementing. So, because after all, rhythm is going to create safety through predictability and not pressure. And that is going to give you so much of clarity and ease and help you get back to what you're doing every single day, because now it feels a bit more easier. It feels less pressured. And yeah, that's very important, isn't it? Next, I want you to use your systems as support and not a cage, because if opening your task list makes you literally shut down, not a good place to be in and not a good place to think that you're broken or something like that. It's nothing like that. It's likely that the system you've built is building a lot of pressure instead of peace. So we want to build in peace because peace is very important. That's essentially what's going to keep us grounded. And yeah, so instead of trying to use a fancy system, start with things like maybe a digital or even a physical space for your brain dumps, or have like a weekly checklist for recurring tasks. Print it out, file it out, and just check it off instead of maybe even trying to come up with an entire planner spread or something. But if you love creating planner spreads, if you love actually, adding in those creative touches yourself, by any means, go with it. But don't try and cheat here and be like, oh my God, I need perfection. This doesn't look great. I've been there. Not a good place to be in again. Rather, keep things simple and just focus on slowly getting in the zone. A light, and even for days, seriously, even for days when you feel like not showing up, having like a content bag you can go back into and just, find a piece of content which you could share or talk about. It's just gonna add in that breathing space for you as well. So find out things like these, what maybe slowly needs patches like these for you to work on. And you don't have to have it already in one go. You can slowly build it up, have every single week 10 minutes dedicated for it. You don't need it to be built up in one night or something like that. And I'm saying this because you literally don't need to adopt someone else's style and strategy or system, but it can be a mix of different things you see, learn, and hear from. But it has to be you. It has to be you. If it's not you, it's not going to be something you would love to come back to every single day. So you definitely need to keep that in mind, because if your system does not say to you, I've got your back, and it rather builds pressure, again, it's not going to build in that peace. And if it's not bringing or building in the peace, it's high chances that you won't come back to it. So yeah. And also the third thing I want you to understand is that you need to anchor into your energy first. So even though before you go to bed, you've noted down what are the things you need to work on for the next day, when you wake up, when you sit at your desk, and when you are about to start working, I want you to ask yourself, things like, what's my capacity today? Every single week, similarly, ask yourself, what's my capacity this week? Or what's my capacity this season? Be honest with yourself. Because until and unless you're not going to be honest with yourself, how are you actually going to, get things done that you really want to get done? So, yeah, be honest with yourself, have this inner dialogue with yourself, and reassess and spread things out maybe if you need to, or if you feel, oh my God, I am so fucking focused today and I just want to get a lot more done. And I don't know why, I just have one or two things on my, list for today. It's okay. Find something else during the week, which if you get done earlier, it's gonna make your life even much easier. And then you work on that and add that for that day as well. See how it goes, see how you feel about it, and enjoy it, something to keep in mind. Because you definitely want to look at the possibility that there are going to be some days where you're really high on energy and you want to get more things done. And then there are some days where it's more like, I am going to get the non-negotiables done. But apart from that, I just want to give myself some recharge. So once you start analyzing these things, on the high energy days, you could get more things done. Why not? Right? And yeah, so just try and understand where you are. How do you get things done? What do you like? And things like that. So anchor into your energy first, because real structure flows with you, not against you. Always remember that. And I'm saying this is because I'll be very honest, since I've become a mother, I said, I was I used to be really organized, and I'm still organized, to be very, very honest. Like when I share with people how I'm getting things done, and people are like, oh my God, you're so organized. But at the core, I still feel kind of messy, because now there's so many pieces, which are unpredictable. And yeah, and it's still a phase where, we're adjusting, and there's so many things changing. Like this month, my son has started his school, so I have now a bit more time in the morning for myself, which feels amazing. But then just few days later, he's gonna have his summer break, and yeah, then we will be again trying to figure out another schedule for next 1.5 months. And then from June, he will be back to school again, which is, different pieces of puzzles, which we are going to be working on slowly and steadily. So that's the reason why I just keep checking how things can be done, how things can be worked on, and manage them accordingly. And that's the reason why I literally rebuilt, I literally simplified, and I learned to build in my systems that feel more like support for me now than pressure. And in fact, if I'll be very, very honest, I am doing so much more these days than I was doing before I was even pregnant, or, so yeah, you get my point, with all of the support and structure. And back then, I thought I was leaning into, being more smooth and all of those kind of things, and, easing in the pressure and things like that. But turns out, now I look back at it, no, I was still rigid as fuck. I was still trying to keep up and be in the on, always on mode. But now it's a lot more different. And I can see it's obviously going to evolve as much and more I evolve. So yeah, you will be hearing a lot more stories about it in the future as well. I'm very, very sure. But yeah, so that's where I am. And yeah, so if I can make it happen, I'm sure you can too. And that's the reason why. And I know you are here for that as well. And that's exactly why we are talking about it, right? So if I don't need to hustle more, and I've still built a structure, honored my capacity, and I'm still doing so much more than I was doing before, enjoying it, and the business is growing, and yeah, everyone's having a good time, I'm sure you can do that too. I just trust you. It's just that you have to trust yourself. You have to try, test, iterate. You can do it yourself alone, or you can obviously, look for your own support system. Like, for instance, you can connect with me on Instagram. I talk and share behind the scenes of my life, my journey there as well. You can also actually come and join me in my membership, where we do discuss things around these. We have calls, where you can jump in on the hot seat sessions, ask your questions, we can brainstorm on things together. In fact, I did an entire experience for them, which was around helping them build their productivity system. But then I realized I was kind of being selfish, that I was just doing it for my membership members. So I even opened the doors for it for the public, and people could either purchase it as a separate experience, or they could join my membership, get the experience as an add-on bonus. So I love doing things like that. But anyway, Trace, coming back to the point, here's what I want to leave you with today. You don't need to choose between chaos and rigidity. You don't have to give up for you to be creative. You can be creative even though you're kind of being flexible. And you just need a structure that feels safe, soulful, and strategically aligned. And this exactly is what, like I said, we can work on together in my membership, the Strategy Lab. So yeah, that's it for today. If this episode sparked something for you, come and tell me on Instagram. You can literally, share it on your Instagram story and tag me, or you can even DM me on Instagram, because I love hearing from you guys what resonated with you the most. So yeah, feel free to DM me. And if you have any friend which you feel needs to hear all of this, share this episode with them, my friend. Sharing is going to help them so much more. And then you could even literally both discuss things out around this, work on it together, be each other's accountability buddies as well, right? So that's it for this week. See you next week. Bye for now.